Last year saw the release of Atelier Ryza, which ended up being a big hit. In fact, it became the best-selling game in the series. And now its sequel, Atelier Ryza 2, has been announced. The announcement was done through a Japanese Nintendo Direct Mini. I first wanted to talk about the announcement right away, but I noticed that both Koei Tecmo Europe and America had a video scheduled to go up on July 29th, so I waited for those to come out. That ended up being a good idea because, well, there's English text there and I can read that. The game's full name is Atelier Ryza 2 Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy. It'll come out on the Nintendo Switch, Sony PlayStation 4, and PC. The trailer actually shows us a bunch of information. There's a few graphics, gameplay, and story bits we can talk about. Firstly, Ryza 2 takes place 3 years after the first game. The trailer then says something about trying to unlock the secrets of the ruins. We see the introduction of a new character called Fee, who I assume is the fairy the title is talking about. Claudia makes a return, and Ryza looks very pleased indeed. Then we get a montage of some new gameplay functions, which is pretty exciting. It looks like Ryza will be able to swim, swing on vines, ride a mount, crawl, and climb. I really like that. It's great that they're trying to implement new ways to explore, since that's a big part of the Atelier series. We see some combat as well. Now, I'm not that sensitive to gameplay changes by just looking at stuff, especially on a trailer of a turn-based RPG. I can see the overlays are different, but I'm sure it's still based on the combat system of the first Ryza game. Maybe someone who's a bit more in the know can comment on that. The trailer then ends with a rather sad bit. Ryza declares her love to someone, and the way it's edited makes it seem like someone died or something like that. The end card gives us a bit of information too. In the picture we can see Ryza, Claudia, Lent, and Tao, as well as the new character Fee. Lent and Tao are very much in the background there, so I wonder how big or small their parts will be in the story. But I guess they'll just be, part of the main character group again. Interestingly, Japan, Europe, and NA markets all have a winter release period. No actual date has been given yet. It's interesting to see that the game will come out around the same time in all the markets, but more on that later. Apparently there's also going to be some bonus costumes. The summer fashion costume is limited to the first 2 weeks of release, and if you've got some Ryza save game data on your system, then you'll get the old outfit. Let's talk about the visuals here. They look similar to Ryza 1. The Japanese Nintendo Direct Mini shows some less fast-paced editing, and you can see actual gameplay a bit more clearly. The only new graphical thing I can see is the underwater portion, but otherwise the games have the same style. Perhaps once you play it, you might be able to spot some improvements or refinements. Either way, it looks good from what I can see. The art style remains the same because it's still the same artist doing character design. The outfits have changed, which makes sense, but followers of Thaientology don't need to worry because the most important bit hasn't changed. There's also an interview with Atelier Ryza's producer, which I found on Siliconera. Here's the summary of what he said. I think these are particularly noteworthy, these points here. Koei Tecmo and Gust are aiming for a worldwide simultaneous release for Atelier Ryza 2. If anything, the companies will try to make the release as close as possible for the worldwide audience. So basically, that's what we concluded with the trailers there. As for the main setting, it will take place in a castle town that looks like a mix of Asian and Western styles. There's no mention of the name of the town, but it seems like it won't be the same one as the first game. In fact, it actually looks quite a bit bigger. At least the buildings are noticeably taller. I think it looks pretty cool. Atelier Ryza 2 will have more focus on weather depictions compared to the first game. For example, you see heat waves in hot areas, or a rock might appear wet after touching water. I think that's a pretty cool thing. Weather always helps with immersion, so I'm looking forward to that. Apparently, it says here also that Ryza's clothing can get wet when she's swimming or if it's raining. Obviously, everyone wants that. And because you can swim in the game, apparently you get to explore basically everything you see. That could really help make the game feel more open. I'm sure it won't be like super crazy sandboxy, but I'm sure the extra freedom will make things fun to explore. We already saw in the trailer there about the extra gameplay functions like the climbing and the swinging on the rope, that sort of thing. And apparently the game is 80% complete, which makes sense given the planned release period. The gameplay in the trailer already looks fairly complete from what we can see. In Japan, they also previewed bits of the limited edition. Actually, I should say limited editions. There's the special collection box, which is the bigger one, and the premium box. They are 26,873 and 11,935 yen respectively. Nice round numbers there. The special collection box includes a number of things, though I can't quite identify everything because I can't read JDM. There's a journal, a pen, an egg thing with a pouch, wall scroll, poster, cards of sorts, acrylic illustration things, again some sort of cards with stuff written on them, and presumably an art book. Quite a hefty price you'll have to pay for those goodies. I find it funny how there's 2 characters blanked out, but it's not hard figuring out, who those might be there. The premium box omits a bunch of stuff and retains some of the acrylic cutout things, art book, cards, and poster. We also get to see the cover art. I really hope the Western release will keep the same art. It has such a nice fairy tale atmosphere. The way you look down the street and you can see the ruins in the background. It's almost as if you can feel the weather. I get that feeling of a summer's day at either dusk or dawn, when it's warm but not hot, and there's a brisk wind. That's kind of the feeling I get from it. So far there's no info on Euro or NA limited editions, though usually we get less choices, so I'm prepared for that to happen. So that's the news about Atelier Ryza 2. I'm excited to see what the game will be like. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any info, please feel free to comment, especially if you can read Japanese and, point out the things I missed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.